And so it is time for Annie's Ahas. And I have a couple of things to share with you today because I don't know if any of you saw the article that I posted last night. I posted it the day before on my regular page as well. So it is about how we help our kids and our next generation. So if you're an aunt or an uncle or a grandmother or a friend of a friend who has kids, or if you're a parent yourself or a guardian or watch kids or a teacher or a coach, you know, we are around children quite a bit in all facets of our life, right? So hopefully you can hear me today. They're doing some work next door, but I wanted to share a couple. I pulled out from that article just three kind of tips that can be really helpful for us as we think about fostering intuitive eating and not buying into diet culture ourselves for our children. Because I know for me, as I was growing up with the girls, I know they heard me criticize myself. I know they heard me talk about going to the gym to work it off or to earn some food. I know they heard me beat myself up because I ate something, calling foods good and bad. I know they saw all that. And thank goodness for my own education and for having that done in a time period where they were receptive to hearing a new conversation around their own bodies and a new conversation around food and eating. And so I'm going to share 3 different tips. The first tip is to help our young adults trust their hunger, you know, and allow them to trust their hunger and be respectful of their own hunger and their own fullness. You know, I think we get really disconnected early with our hunger and our fullness due to parenting, you know, whether it's at a daycare or wherever, because you got to eat at a certain time. If you're eating, you have certain foods that you're eating or you're not eating. Oh, you can't be hungry. Oh, we don't want to spoil your dinner. Oh, finish your plate. You know, all of the signs, that kind of thing. So it's really, how can we begin to help our children, ask them what hungry feels like to them. You can actually have conversations around hunger. This hunger feels like to me when I get hungry, this, and this happened to me. Do you know what happens to you when you get hungry? What does it feel like to you? Can you share that with me? Because that's very helpful. The other thing is, what does fullness feel like? Do you know when you feel overfull, right? Do you know when you haven't quite had enough? What does that feel like? Because there's some nuance there. And if we can help our kids trust themselves early, then they are able to eat intuitively as they grow older, right? They get that understanding of hunger and fullness. And I think that's kind of one of the basic, other than rejecting diet culture, which is what we're trying to do here in intuitive eating principles. There's 2 others that are really important, is honoring your hunger and, you know, respecting your fullness, understanding what fullness for you feels like. I use, I had something here, but I sometimes use, this isn't quite big enough, but I sometimes use like this is a sticky note, but I'll use like a card, you know, an index card. And, you know, what does it feel like? You can actually, you know, draw. What does it feel like? What's your stomach feel like? Is it half full? Is it all the way up to the top? I think Susan Albers uses a balloon. You know, this is how it feels when my stomach feels full. This is what it feels like when my stomach feels empty. So there are ways you can kind of play with understanding fullness, hunger and fullness in your children. So that's one tip. Trusting their hunger and their fullness, respecting that, helping them trust it, and then respecting when they're hungry and when they're full, right? How could you be hungry? You just ate an hour ago. Like, those are signals that they can't trust themselves. So we have to, you know, be aware of what we're saying. Number 2 is, how do we talk to ourselves? Do they see us pulling on our clothes? Do they see us looking in the mirror, criticizing ourselves? Do they hear us say, "Oh, I shouldn't have eaten that"? Do they hear us say, "Oh, that that's a good food. I'll eat that because that's good. Do they hear us judging food? Do they hear us judging bodies? Do they hear us in conversations on the phone about losing weight? What kind of behavior do you have? What's your relationship with food and eating and goods and bads and holding on to diet culture that we don't always know that we're holding on to? Said I encourage you to read that article. It's 7 steps to help step out of diet culture, like an understanding where diet culture might play in. It doesn't take that long. It's like a 3-minute read. So give yourself some time to do that if you are in connection with children that you want to help on this journey. So there's another one. Watch your own criticism. And one of the things that I think is really helpful is, like when I hug my daughter, I love my arms because they can hug you so tight, and they would be like, blah, blah, blah. But for me, it was a way for me to express a love of my arms. And, I love my legs because we can take these walks together, because we can climb these rocks together, because we can ride bikes together, because we can do these things. I love my eyes because I get to see this beautiful sunset. Isn't it gorgeous, right? All these pretty colors. So by allowing ourselves to share what we like about our bodies helps them feel like it's okay. If we're always beating ourselves up, that's what they think is the right thing to do. So that's 2. And then the third one is around exercise and movement, because I think that if we can really disconnect exercise and movement from calories burned, from time, from heart rates, from burning off food for reward of food, for earning food, right? So if I work out, I deserve this. If I work out, I am able to eat this. I have to work out because I ate that. So when we use exercise as punishment or as reward to earn or to burn off food, that's sending a mixed signal. That's buying into diet culture. So how do we disconnect that, and that moving our body is fun, and there's great ways that we can move our body, and everybody's body is different. So some people are really good at swimming and love the water. Other people don't like the water, and it doesn't feel good to be in the water. So what is it that your child or the people that are in your life, the children that are in your life, what do they like to do? Do they like to play games? Do they like to go to the park? Do they like to play catch? Do they like to play lacrosse? Do they like to kick a ball around? Do they like to walk in the woods, right? Catch caterpillars or worms or dig in the dirt? Moving our bodies should be fun. And how can we encourage just joyful movement and in ways that kind of resemble play? Because I don't know about you, but I remember when I was a kid, I was forced outdoors a lot, but I was always just doing, whether it was picking flowers for my mom or riding my bike around the neighborhood or walking up to the school where I could swing. I know it's a different world. I know it's a different culture, but how can we help our kids get outside and just play? Because that, I think, we know, if you listen to any of Brene Brown, play is essential, and for us as well as adults, how do you play? If our kids watch us play, skipping and twirling and those kind of things, then I don't think I can do it anymore, but I would really love, because one of my favorite things when I was a kid was a pogo stick. I loved the pogo stick. I was on the pogo stick all the time, and I would have competitions with myself. There weren't a lot of kids around my neighborhood that were my age when I was younger, and so a lot of times when I was just, kicked out on a Saturday morning because we weren't allowed to watch cartoons. No, there's no resentment there. But we weren't allowed, so we would go outside, and we had stilts and we had the pogo stick. And the stilts I just was really bad at. I had a hard time with those, but the pogo stick, That was something. I'm like, do they have adult pogo sticks? I probably couldn't do it now. But anyways, that's one of the things that I love. So that's the third thing. Really disconnecting movement and exercise from any kind of calories or body shifting and just into joy, enjoyment, strength, mobility, quality of life, and how do we teach our kids that? So I hope this has been helpful. If you want any more help or guidance, know that I did drop a link in here. I'm kind of doing this for the next month and a half through September. I'm doing this kind of one-offs. If you just want to have a coaching session and really talk about what's going on with you, click the link. It's down below. I'll pop it in here too. But we can have a session, and it doesn't, it's just a one session. It's like a one-off, I call it, because a lot of times we don't want to jump necessarily into a program. We have like the Body Joyful University, we have the immersions with the intuitive eating. So you're really diving in and immersing yourself into intuitive eating, or into body image. And then we have, the year-long program. So we have a lot of programs, but sometimes you just need to talk something through. So just know that that's available now for you as well. So that's it for my Annie's Aha. I hope you took something away from this. Hashtag your aha from this. What might you try to do for yourself or become aware of that you might still be holding on to when it comes to diet culture? So have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching. I will talk to you next Monday for sure, but probably sooner.